Dear brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus, today, the 4th of October, Holy Mother, the Church, calls us to the memory of Saint Francis of Assisi. Saint Francis of Assisi is someone who has taught the world the real meaning of living up to the image of Christ. Francis of Assisi was born in the 12th century in 1181 in Italy. His father was Peter Bardano. He was not present when his son was born, so therefore the mother named him Giovanni. And as soon as the father came back, he named him Francesco, means Francis. And Peter Bardano had great plans for his son, for Peter Bardano was a merchant, a wealthy merchant. And as it was, Francis grew up to be a youth of much valor, a romantic person, a poet, and a lover boy. He went on to be a soldier in the war against the Turks, fighting for the papal army. In one of such wars that he was fighting, he hurt himself, he injured himself, and he was retired. And in that time of retirement from the war, when he was searching for the meaning of life, then he understood what Christ was speaking to him. For Christ wanted Francis for himself. And that is when once he was going to the church of San Damiano, and there Christ spoke to him and wanted him for himself. He left everything. And that's when this famous incident happened, when his father, Peter Bardano, called the bishops and everyone and said, I put so much of money on my child, I want him for me. And then Francis removes everything that he has, even removes the clothes that he was wearing, and naked he walks out, saying, now I belong totally and completely to my Christ. Francis went on to start a small congregation of the little friars, where they all gathered together, were living a life dedicated completely to Christ. But Francis, let me tell you, was not a priest, for he felt that he is not worthy enough to be a priest. And he dedicated his whole life to the Lord, to the service. And many rich people, many rich and influential people of his time, they left everything they had. All the Ambanis and Tatas of that time of Italy left wealth, caught to Christ because of this person. And then later, once the congregation got the papal recognition, then he also found with the help of Sister Clare, the congregation of the poor Clares. And we know how when he was preaching, this rich woman called Clare, she got converted, she wanted to join him, and along with her mother, with her auntie, with her sister, she joined him, and then slowly the congregation of the poor Clares for the women was started. And then afterwards, he was living his faith all his life, and he was the one who started this crib in the church. Christmas crib, right? We have to thank St. Francis of Assisi, because he was so enamored by this very presence of the Lord, his incarnation, that he started this practice of the crib. And one day, when he was participating in the Mass of the exaltation of the cross, he got the 5 wounds of Christ in his limbs, in his hands and feet, and in his side, which is known as the stigmata. And he is known as an inspiration for so many, because the poverty which he lived was great, dear brethren. He used to call the whole nature as brother and sister, brother sun, sister moon. And when he was going to die, he was saying, how beautiful is the sister death dear brother, he said. Because he was able to approach the whole creation as something beautiful, for it is created by God. And after his death, immediately he was canonized as a saint. And rightly the world knows him as someone who has converted his life to the best of the image of Christ. He is known as the Poverello, little Poverello. He is known as an alter Christus, another Christ, because he is someone who's lived to that image of Christ to perfection in his life. So dear brothers and sisters, Pope Francis celebrates his feast day today. Francesco is calling us today. Saint Francis of Assisi is calling us today, as he was calling each and every person in Italy when he was living. You know how he used to preach. He took his brothers, those companions, along with him, and they used to walk in the streets. They didn't used to preach. For Saint Francis of Assisi used to say, preach always, use words when necessary. His life was his preaching. His passion was his preaching. His love for God was his preaching. But nowadays, we preach with our words and our life are useless, worthless, meaningless. So let's ask the Lord that our lives may also become meaningful lives, like the life of Saint Francis of Assisi. God bless you all. Amen.